Welcome to MCN. This is our long-term test bike video time. So we're talking to MCN members about the bikes they've been running in 2022. And today it's all about the Multistrada V2 and its owner, Michael Guy. Welcome along, mate.
Thanks, mate.
Nice to see you.
Nice to see you.
So this bike here is new for this year, isn't it? It replaces the 950.
Yep.
So it is a relatively kind of old design bike, but it's got a lot of new bits on it. But I'm really interested to see what you've been thinking about it this year. How long have you had it?
I picked it up in April.
Right.
So yeah, a fair few months. Haven't done quite as much as I would have liked.
Yeah.
Just
life gets in the way.
Life getting in the way. Had a bit of a spell, but then got a little bit injured and sort of lost a few weeks of good opportunity of riding. But yeah.
How many miles have you done?
About 3,500.
Right, a fair few miles.
Yeah, I've done enough. Yeah.
Okay. And to make this a little bit more digestible, I've asked you to give me 10 things you like, 10 things you don't like about the bike. So let's talk about your likes first. So at number 10, you like the styling.
Yeah, I think it looks good. I mean, you know, it's a Ducati. You know, they never look bad, do they? Really? No. You know, rich red and styling's good, purposeful. Yeah, it doesn't.
It's a nice looking bike.
It's a nice looking bike.
Yeah.
For this sort of style of bike, they're not always, can be a little bit quirky, can't they?
Exactly.
If you think back to the original Multistradas, they were a quirky thing, weren't they?
The Fiat Multipla of the bike world.
Exactly.
Although I think they've aged quite well. I quite like them.
Yeah, but it goes full circle, doesn't it?
It does. Okay, next one is number 9, the screen. You like the screen?
Yeah, I mean, mainly because you can adjust it and it is so easy to adjust.
Yeah.
You know, you can do it on the fly, and there's a tangible difference. It's not going up, you know, a few mil, you know, it's going up, you know, a number of centimetres. And it just does a good job of, you know, when you get onto the motorway, the weather's bad, you put it up. It's a little bit in my sort of line of vision, but acceptable. You know, I can definitely, once you sort of get dialed in with the top of the screen, you know, it doesn't bother me when I'm riding, but when you first get it up, you're quite conscious of it, but you soon get used to it. It doesn't sort of compromise vision, and it does a pretty good job. You know, as we've discussed many times, you know, these bikes, aerodynamically, this style of bike, they're not maybe as good as you.
No, they're not like a sportier shaped bike, are they?
No, they are quite a big, you know, high, and you get quite a lot of wind noise, but it does a pretty good job of actually protecting you.
Yeah, because that's what you're going to use a bike like this for, doing lots of travelling, aren't you?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. It's, you know, it needs to be that bike you can just, wherever you've got to go, you can just jump on it and suck it up.
Yeah. Okay, the next one is things you like is the handling.
Yeah, I mean,
so it's a Ducati. Handles well.
Yeah. The suspension's good. It's you know, it's obviously got the electronic suspension, so you know you can dial that into the type of riding you're doing, luggage, pillions, etc. But it just feels responsive. You know, as you know, my sort of background is more kind of the sort of adventure bikes, and you know, generally you're running a 21-inch front, and I think 21-inch fronts, without going down that wormhole, you know, tyres have improved massively over the years, so they're not as different as they once were. But coming down to a, you know, a 19 front, it's just I've enjoyed the handling. I've enjoyed the wider profile tyre. I've just enjoyed the handling of the bike. It's good.
And it's kind of got quite normal handling for anyone coming from a normal 17-inch front wheel sports bike or whatever. It feels natural, doesn't it?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Okay. So within that, you've spoken about the electronic suspension. So the advantages of that, if it suddenly hoons it down with rain, you can just put it in rain mode and it's nice and soft. You've got grip and comfort, and then when you want to go for it. Yeah. I
mean, it's all at a touch of a button. It's all pretty intuitive. Once you found myself, you know, you obviously get used to different manufacturers and how they go about things. But you know, Ducati know about electronics, eh?
Exactly.
Exactly. You know, those guys, you know, obviously Magneti Marelli are, you know, sort of, you know, intrinsic part of Ducati, and that's what we see in, you know, MotoGP, and you know, the level of expertise. And I think Ducati, from my experience, and you know better than me, they're very good at at delivering that to the masses, aren't they?
Exactly,
They analyse it, they get it right, and then we are lucky enough to have that sort of level of electronics, which is, you know, fantastic.
And I think that's what separates it from the normal V2 is the electronic suspension. One of the things, isn't it? And I think it's worth the money because you get multiple bikes in one. Touch of a button.
Yeah, absolutely. And I've had pillions on it. I've had it loaded up, and yeah, just being able to
just easy. There's no compromise.
To jack it up and away you go, and then, you know, you're a bit more spirited riding into sport settings, and off you go. You know, he's good.
I mean, it's something we mentioned in passing, electronic suspension, but it really is useful, isn't it?
Yeah, it is, because, you know, at the end of the day, with all the best will in the world, you're not going to get your C-spanner out.
Never.
And, you know, you just...
Or know what to do, necessarily.
Or do the right thing.
Yeah.
You know, whereas you've got, you know, presets in there of factory Ducati engineers or whatever manufacturer it is.
Exactly. They know what they're doing.
They know what they're doing.
Yeah. Okay, next one on the list is cruise control. We all like cruise control.
Yeah, I mean, it's just easy. It's just easy to operate. It's easy to come on and off with the cruise control. You know, they're all slightly different, aren't they? Every bike, every manufacturer does it slightly differently. But I think, electronics in general on this bike, I think, are very good, as you would expect being a Ducati. But yeah, it's just easy to use, feels accurate. You've got a good display. You know exactly what you're doing. It's just a nice creature comfort that I do find myself using probably more than I thought.
A lot.
Yeah,
exactly. Okay, next one is the cornering lights.
Yeah, so I don't know if I've had a bike with cornering lights before, but it's a small thing, but it's a nice thing, you know. If you are on, especially unfamiliar roads, just to be able to, you know, for anybody that doesn't sort of know, essentially it's just a lean angle sensitive thing. So as you corner, the light will actually come on, and I think you don't appreciate quite how much you're not seeing until that cornering light comes on and just illuminates that part of the road when you're at a certain angle. So yeah, I think that's a nice touch. It's quite a premium thing, I'm guessing.
Yeah.
Probably doesn't have to be that much of a premium thing, but it's a simple thing, but it does work.
And like all these things, when you ride a bike without it, that's when you really notice.
Yes.
Okay, the tyres.
Yeah, so
you like?
I put the Dunlop Road Smart 4s on.
Yeah.
The other ones went out. You're gonna have to help me with this.
Are these the
Scorpion Trail.
Yeah. Standard. Yeah.
So they were standard.
So they're dual purpose tyres, aren't they?
Yeah. So these, I got a puncture basically on the way back from the Isle of Man TT this year. But I've put these on, and they are definitely a more road focused tyre.
Yeah.
But I've been really impressed with them. I haven't run Dunlops for quite a while actually, and I like them. I think it's definitely sharpened up the handling.
Yeah.
Wet weather grip seems good. You know, we're at that sort of time of year where, you know, the temperature's gone down, and, you know, lots of leaves on the road, and I haven't done loads and loads with them, but the feeling I'm getting is that sort of that extra level of confidence, certainly. So no, I've been impressed with them.
Because with the best will in the world, dual purpose tyres are always going to be a compromise because you haven't got as much rubber on the road, have you?
Exactly.
And with these, you're going to get more grip, more confidence.
And I just thought, you know, at the end of the day, I just knew that, as you know, I like to ride off-road, but I'm not taking this off-road.
No, exactly.
So it's just like, well, let's just go full road and get something that's going to behave and, you know, exploit the chassis and the great suspension.
Exactly. Yeah. Good mod. Okay, number 2 is the noise or the lack of it.
Yeah, this could have gone in the likes or the dislikes thing. You know what I mean? It's kind of, it doesn't make a lot of noise, especially when you're at at low revs. And like I say, I kind of quite like that. I've gone off noisy bikes in my youth, but then it does actually sound quite good when you do get on the pipe. You know, it's got quite a nice sort of roar. It sort of digs in. I think there's a fair bit of induction noise as well as exhaust noise. I think it's, for this sort of bike, I quite like being able to just make sort of progress without attracting too much attention.
Yeah,
and it works well.
Stealth around.
Exactly.
And the thing you like most about this is the electronics in general and what they bring to the party when you're living with a bike.
Yeah, I mean, look, you know, we're at an age where, you know more than me. You know, you ride more bikes than me, but the electronics are it's constantly being pushed. But there did seem very much a time when it was sort of style over substance. You know,
Yeah.
people were throwing electronics at bikes, but they didn't actually work that well.
Yeah.
You know, Ducati do electronics well. Everything on it works. It's smooth. You know, you notice a difference if you're changing the maps. You know,
Yeah.
from touring to sport. You know, you know, wet. You notice a difference. You know, the fact that you can adjust the suspension for pillions, etc. It just seems quite accomplished. It sort of
Yeah.
feels very 2022.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
And I like that. I think it's done well. You know, all the traction control, nothing, you know, obtrusive in when you're riding. It doesn't get in the way of
No,
the
you never
riding
know they're there until you
experience
need 'em.
until you need them. You know, the quick shifter's great. Oh, yeah,
Just
they do that
everything
well.
working together.
Yeah,
Just to
yeah,
enhance.
there does feel like a real sort of harmony
Nothing
with the whole
takes it
thing.
away, does it? Nothing detracts.
So yeah, I like that.
Okay, let's move on to the dislikes. Okay, so the width of the bike.
Yeah, so I mean, as you know, I like riding off-road and adventure bikes, but those are wide handlebars, eh? You know, and there's a few times where, and you notice, you know, like, you know, I've lived in the same house for quite a few years, so you get the bikes in and out
Oh,
of the
right,
garage,
you can gauge.
and you gauge.
Yeah.
There are times when I think it is a wide bike, and that's great from a leverage point of view, but you know, that's wider than off-road bikes I ride, and
Yeah.
sometimes I think maybe a little bit too wide. Maybe I think you could have, you know, 10-20 mil off, and you probably wouldn't be too compromised with the rest of the bike.
Yeah. Okay, the next one on the list, and it's this is what a long-term test report does over a road test, because it's all about living with. It's the exhaust corrosion.
Yeah, I mean, just look at that sort of the whole pipe.
Yeah,
and
it's not. You can't get that back, can you?
You can't get it back, and you know, it had anti-corrosion stuff on when I first got the bike. You know, I haven't. That's summer use.
Yeah.
You know, okay. Has it been dried off completely every time I've put it? No, but
No.
this is a real world test.
Yeah.
I think for a £14,500 bike, and the rest of it looks great.
Yeah, exactly.
And I just think that's a little bit disappointing.
It really ages it, doesn't it?
It does, yeah, straight away. And you just think there must be a better way for a premium product like this.
Yeah. Okay, the next one on the list, I completely agree. This has got keyless ignition.
Yeah.
But you still need a key for the fuel cap. No.
Like, yeah, I mean, first world problems.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
But it is a pain, you know, because you're not using your key. You just have
Yeah,
your key.
you don't pull it out of the ignition into there, do you?
You have your key tucked away, and then it's like, oh, okay, yeah, I've got. I mean, like, it
Yeah.
is first world problems.
Yeah, yeah.
But it just seems a bit. I don't know.
We're not going to set up a Just Giving page for us, are we?
We probably won't get that many takers.
No.
But,
yeah, it is
good idea.
it's an irritation, isn't it?
It's an irritation, and it just seems a bit unnecessary for a premium bike like this.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, the luggage.
So the luggage is.
So is this accessory luggage you've got?
Yeah. So the panniers. I mean, firstly, in a way, it's good because I don't have that great form with luggage. I've clipped a few things over my
Yeah.
years, and I don't enjoy riding with luggage.
No.
And the luggage on this bike is that much neater because it does fit quite well in
Yeah.
with the bike.
Just clips on.
It just clips
There's
on.
no,
so
no
it's-
framework, is
no,
there? So
there's
that's
no
neat.
framework, so
Yeah.
it's really neat. I like all that, but I just think that they're just a little bit too small.
Right.
Like
yeah, you're
I
right.
can't get a helmet in them,
Right. That's
and I just sort of think it's a bit sort of style over substance. I
Yeah,
just think
exactly.
that if there'd have been, you know, another 2 litres or slightly different shape or something,
Much more
they could have
useful.
just been that much more usable. I don't actually think it would have compromised the bike.
No.
But saying that, you know, they're secure, they fit with the bike, you know, they look okay, but just
not as useful as they could be.
exactly that, yeah.
Okay, next one on the list is the dash. So this has got a TFT colour dash.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, don't get me wrong, it's like this. My criticism is there's just too much information.
Yeah. All at the same time.
All at the same time.
Yeah.
You know, you switch it on. There's times when you think, I'm just going to check the time, and you know the time's there, but it's almost like
Yeah, you gotta look for it.
You can't sort of see it. I know it sounds like really petty, but I think, you know, obviously we've seen dashes get ever bigger, and I think it's not a particularly big dash,
No.
but it has got an awful lot of information on there.
Yeah.
And I think there's a I don't think they've got the balance right with that. You know, when you compare with some other bikes, you know, like, I don't know, you know, like,
BMWs, they're so
Yeah,
clear and amazing.
and you can have different displays, and you can display certain information. But there's still times where I end up just, yeah, you just can't see the information you're actually
No.
looking for because it's just you're overloaded.
Even Ducati MotoGP bikes have literally got the thing they need on there. There's hardly any information, is there?
You know, that's yeah, because
You don't need it all.
you don't need it all,
No.
and you can, and you know, the switches are all good. You know, so you can scroll through, you can get the information. That's not an issue, but it's just like they just seem to want to tell you everything all the time, and
Yeah,
just
yeah.
the font's small, and it's just a little bit too busy.
You've got backlit switches, but the actual,
I was gonna,
the text isn't
yeah,
illuminated, is it?
yeah. So backlit switches, which is great, and then you notice that the first time you ride the bike in the dark, you go, oh, backlit switches, that's
Yeah.
cool. But then you go, oh no, I'm not
just
familiar
silhouette.
enough. I
Yeah.
don't know what this is actually saying.
Yeah.
Because other bikes, if anyone sort of doesn't necessarily appreciate, you know, you can have backlit switches, but also it displays what that actual button does. Whereas this is just
Yeah,
the
yeah.
actual switch is backlit, but the information isn't. So you kind of, I mean, you get familiar with it. If it was your bike, you get to learn. But it's a bit like the keyless ignition for the fuel tank. It's like,
Yeah.
it's right there.
It's almost there, but not quite.
But not quite.
And that's what you notice now, because we get to ride new bikes all the time, and the rate of development. You know, a lot of the shiny new bikes now have got proper backlit switches, proper dashes, proper
Yeah,
full
yeah.
keyless, and it kind of dates bikes like this a little
Yeah,
bit.
yeah.
But it's not a massive deal if you live with it. You just know where it is.
No, you'd
Yeah.
quickly get used to it. It wouldn't be an issue. But it is that I rode it back from Bristol the other night, and it was, you know, on the motorway. You suddenly look down and you just go, oh yeah, I just to activate the cruise control. I
Yeah.
do know what I'm doing, but
You don't want to be looking down
you
too
don't
long,
want to
do
be
you?
looking down. Yeah.
Okay, next one is there's nowhere to attach your phone or sat nav. That's a good point.
So I've got that quad lock on,
Yeah,
but the only place I could get it so I could get my phone on is at such an angle. Again, you know, it's a minor inconvenience, but you just, because of the reservoirs here, you just got nowhere to do that. And you know, this is a kind of a touring bike. You would
Yeah.
want a sat nav on there somewhere if you're going to be going, you know, on some adventures. So
yeah. Okay, this next point of yours is a really interesting one. This is probably a lot of people's dilemma when it comes. I think it's a British thing as well. You said telling people it's a V2 and not a V4. Yeah. It's almost like admitting you're not good enough to have a V4 or whatever.
yeah,
Can I explain
I
that?
mean, it's a weird one because it shouldn't be an issue, should it?
No.
Because it's a 110 horsepower motorbike.
and generally the small versions are nicer to ride anyway.
Exactly, in the real world.
Yeah.
But it is that, you know, I think it's more of an issue since it's a V4, the new one's a V4.
Yeah, because it's called V2, V4.
Because it is just quite a grand thing, isn't it? You know, the
Yeah.
V4 Multistrada. And this is very much, does feel like little brother, poor relation, however
Yeah.
you want to see it.
Yeah, it's a shame actually. Like I say, a GSX-R 750 is better than a GSX-R 1000, and you know, and with off-road bikes,
Yeah, you don't want.
small ones are more mate. Like you said in your recent video,
Yeah,
the big bruisers aren't really that
They're not.
useful off-road.
No, because they're not as much fun. You can't do
No.
as much. You can't engage with them. You know,
No.
you're just sort of always a bit overwhelmed by them.
This is more nimble than the V4. The engine's more involving because you've got to rev it. It's easier to manage.
Yeah,
It's got so many plus points.
yeah,
hasn't
yeah. You're trying to talk me out of that one.
it? Yeah. Okay. So the V2's good. So makes your wrists ache.
Yeah.
So
So, I mean, as like most of us, we've had a few knocks along the way.
Yeah.
And I've broken my right wrist in particular a couple of times, and yeah, quite weird. Just I find that.
You wouldn't think so, would you, being upright?
No, not at all.
Yeah, I know what you
it's
mean.
not even just it's my sort of forearm. I don't find it as comfortable as I would have thought. But I think it's a bit harsh to criticise the bike for that. I think it's my fault for jumping off
Falling
motorbikes in my youth that
Wow.
I've damaged things. So I don't think there's anything wrong with the ergonomics. I just don't find it as comfortable as I would have imagined. Because
Yeah.
you look at it and you just go, I'm going to be able to ride that all day, every day. But
Yeah,
literally within sort of 40 minutes or so,
Wow.
I'm a bit achy. But then it's good, you know, the cruise control, you can take that out.
Yeah,
arm
exactly.
off, so, you know,
I found the same thing with my Street Fighter V4. That gave me wrist ache, but I think a lot of that was the wind pressing against you and you're actually trying to hang on all the
Oh,
time.
right, so it's not actually weight on your wrist.
No, it's sort of pulling at your wrist.
Ah,
and I didn't
okay.
have cruise control, so. Okay, the gearing, over-geared.
Yeah, I just find that, you know, it's a 110 horsepower motorbike. You know, it weighs 215 kilos,
Yeah.
I guess. You know, it should feel pretty alive. It should feel,
Yeah.
and I guess, so where I come from that is very different motorbike, but my last year's long termer was the KTM 890 Adventure R.
Yeah.
Obviously a much more off-roady type motorbike, similar sort of weight, similar sort of horsepower, but that was alive, you know.
You know you're on them.
You know you're on them, you know, it wants to wheelie, it wants to, you know, it's telling you, let's go. Whereas this is feels quite, it's not slow,
No.
but it feels quite lethargic, it feels quite mellow, especially those
Yeah.
low gears. Obviously the plus side of that is when you are on the motorway, at motorway speeds, it's easy, it's very, very relaxed.
Yeah.
But it just feels a little bit subdued for me down the bottom, you
Yeah.
know.
I understand. Okay, so the thing you like least about this in number one spot is its character, maybe a bit bland.
Yeah, and I feel it feels like harsh because you know it's a Ducati for goodness sake. You
Yeah.
know, it's the first Ducati I've ever had as a long-term fleet
Okay.
in sort of
Yeah.
19 years, and to say it leaves me cold is going too far, but it doesn't excite me like I thought it would.
Yeah.
It doesn't feel as special as I thought it would.
Yeah.
You know, I've ridden, you know, even thing, you know, like you sort of your Japanese sort of equivalents,
Yeah.
you know, considerably cheaper, just as sort of comfortable, just as
Yeah,
engaging.
yeah.
I just don't find it particularly exciting. I don't find it particularly engaging. I just find it very competent. I guess if it was a Japanese bike, maybe the expectation would be a little bit different.
Yeah.
And I'd be quite happy with that because
Yeah.
it would have been like I had a 1000 Versus probably 7 or 8 years ago, and I remember thinking, this is a great motorbike.
Yeah,
It's just
yeah,
a
yeah.
good
Yeah.
motorbike. And I guess being a Ducati, I thought it'd be a bit more.
Yeah, I know what you mean. I think the engine's got some is responsible a little bit because in the Super Sport 950,
Yeah.
that leaves you a little bit cold. On
Does it?
paper, it shouldn't,
Yeah.
but it's just the only time this engine is really exciting is in the Hypermotor, which is just a
But that's always going to be exciting.
yeah. So yeah, I think yeah, I know exactly where you're coming from. The last thing I'm going to ask you is for the type of riding you do, for the type of rider you are, would you buy one?
No, I wouldn't. And you know, that's because I'm more sort of an adventure rider and I want to take in off-road, I want to go a bit sort of off-piste.
Yeah.
So that would be the main thing. And then if I did want this sort of, I see this more of sort of a Grand Tourer type thing.
Yeah.
For the giggles, I'd go, and if I had the money, I'd go V4
Yeah.
because that's just a phenomenal thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Whereas I don't think this is a very competent thing. It just doesn't sort of
yeah.
float my boat.
Light your fire. Brilliant. Well, thank you very much for taking us around your bike.
Thank you, mate.
And thank you very much for watching, and stay tuned for our next long-term video coming up soon.